Hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing well out there. I have a bit of a different video today. I want to talk a little bit about the comic market, the collector's market in particular. Not necessarily, new stuff that's coming out, though this doesn't kind of include some new stuff that's coming out. But just the general state of the collector market right now, and why I'm concerned. So this is a little bit different video than the normal, like, hey, look what I got in the mail and look what I bought today on New Comic Day. It's something that's been bothering me for a little while, and it's taken me a little bit to kind of get my thoughts together on what I really want to talk about. I feel like that I'm not an economist. Anything I say in here is just my opinion and what I think. Don't put any hard stock, I suppose, into what I say. Don't bank your life on what I say here. Obviously, you shouldn't do that with anyone you listen to on the internet, really. So this is just my opinion, just my thoughts. But I think they're fairly sound. So I want to talk about this a little bit today. Wendigo is back here for moral support. She'll be back there being cute like she usually does. So obviously I follow the collector's market quite a bit because I do a lot of collecting. The primary dump of my discretionary income goes to paper investments, comic books. And I know there's a number of comics that I'm always looking for that I want because I love the characters. And I'm not in it for an investment. I know I always say that comic collectors should view their collection as an investment, even if you don't do it for an investment. And I still stand by that. You should always keep your collection in tip-top financial shape in case you have to get rid of it at some point, in case some emergency comes through. So this is why I always say treat it like an investment, even if it's not. But I don't buy comics in order to sell them. Well, sometimes I do, but that's not like I'm starting to dabble in that a little bit, and it's kind of because of this stuff that's going on right now. But I'll talk about that. But that's not my main thing. When I'm going on eBay or going to shops and stuff and buying comics, it's for my personal collection because I love to collect. I love the characters. I love the books. I love the hobby. And it's becoming hard. And I'm not going to say I'm losing interest, but it's becoming, I'm getting fatigued. And I want to talk a little bit about why that is. And I don't think it has to be this way, but it is. So what I think that I'm seeing, or we're seeing, is that comic speculators, those that are out there that want to buy comics not because they love them, because they want to have them, but specifically so they can resell them and make money, are driving the market. And, in my opinion, are ruining the market. So, for example, you have a book like this, right? Venom number 3 of the Donny Cates run, first full appearance of Null. This book is not that old, right? This book is not that old in the grand scheme of things. What, maybe 2 years old? Something like that, because this went on 26, 27. So this is about 2 years old. Modern book. Very modern book. This book, in a high grade, near mint, whatever, is worth $180. Around $180, depending where you go, depending on the day. But for the most part, $180. That is insanity. Insanity for a book that is 2 years old. Why does this book cost $180? It used to be that if a series had been running for a while, and let's say I didn't get in on it, but it'd been going for maybe a year or so, year and a half, and I started hearing good things about it, and wanted to pick it up. I could go and find the run up to that point for a reasonable amount. Maybe I'd pay like $5-10 for an issue here and there. But good luck doing that with Venom, right? If you didn't happen to get on that on the ground floor, wait for the trades. Got to get in trades. You're not going to be able to get individual issues when a single issue costs $180. So why does this cost $180? You could say the why is, well, because it's the first appearance of Null. But why? Why did that why? Why does the first appearance of Null cost $180? Who's Null? Who cares? Oh, he's a new villain, and what new villains show up all the time. Well, he's really cool, and cool new villains show up all the time. Now, I understand when a book gets hot because the character gets optioned for or is rumored to be coming up in a movie or TV show. I don't agree with it. That's a whole nother discussion. I don't agree with that. But it is true. It is the fact we have to deal with, and I can deal with that. Well, I have to deal with that. Fine. Null is an option for anything. He is the big bad guy in a Venom series who isn't even he's a major character, but he's not like, it's not like he's Spider-Man. He's a Spider-Man spinoff. His main villain in this run is this character. Is he going to show up in other places every once in a while? Yeah, what villains don't? But why is this book cost $180? Another example for you. New Mutants 98. Everyone knows New Mutants 98. Ultimate Fallout number 4. First appearance of Miles Morales. First appearance of Deadpool. Which of these two books is worth more in the same high grade? Which do you think is worth more? The 30-year-old New Mutants number 98, starring an established loved character who has had multiple movies, been in video games, he was the hotness for a long time, still kind of is, or Miles Morales, who is established. I'm not saying it, and again, nothing against Miles Morales, but this book is not that old. Which one do you think is worth more? I would guess that New Mutants 98 is worth more. I would be wrong, because this is worth more. That makes no sense. It makes no sense, and it's not. I'm not saying anything about the characters themselves. Just by the fact, if I got both of these books in a 9.6, higher grade copies of this are more rare than higher grade copies of this, right? Because this came out during a time where people were a lot more like, oh, this is probably going to be valuable. To keep it in minty shape. Don't even read it. My copy's in the poly bag, for goodness sakes, right? Like, somebody bought that, and I ended up in my hands eventually. But somebody bought that. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to take that out of the bag because it's probably going to be worth something. New Mutants 98. We're still back in the time where there was the concept of comics could be worth something, but no one knew this character was going to be, Deadpool was going to be anything at all. He's like, he's a cool looking assassin guy, but no one would have expected at this point that he was going to be like this really popular anti-hero. So why is Ultimate Fallout 4 worth more than something that is a first person of a character that's more established and the book is harder to get? In that analogous grade. Speculation. Well, right now, because it came out that Miles is going to be in a video game, Deadpool's been in a video game. Deadpool's been in a bunch of video games. Miles has been in a video game. Miles, he was in Ultimate Alliance, right? Oh, got to announce that he's going to be in the PS5 PlayStation game, PS5 Spider-Man game. So like now we don't only have to worry about if things are coming out in movies or TV shows, but now video games as well. It's ridiculous. And people who like me are just collectors. Like, I don't care if he's going to be in a video game. He's still the same character. You know, these characters that have been around and established, where their first appearances have been out, them showing up in a movie or in a video game does not make that story in that book any better or worse. It doesn't make that character in the comics any cooler or not. Now, I'm kind of getting into, it's dumb that movie appearances should make comics more valuable in the first place, but I think to a collector who isn't doing this to make money would understand that to them it's not as important. Another example of a book that's heating up right now, Gargoyles #1. Again, who cares? Like, it's not a comic property. They happen to have a comic at the time that the Gargoyles cartoon was out, because everything in the 90s had a comic. But why is that book heating up? Well, it's a Disney-owned property, and there may be a Gargoyles show coming back. But it's not even that's a weak connection. The Gargoyle comic to the Gargoyle TV show is a very weak connection because it's not a comic property. But the book is heating up. Why? Because speculators say the book is heating up, right? So price. I'll cover this quite a bit in different forms, but so that the value of something or the price of something is driven by supply and demand, right? So for all these things we've looked at, supply is there. You can go to eBay and find any of these books for sale. They're not a rare resource. Supply is there. So it's demand that's driving up the price. But what's driving up demand? Again, especially for these characters that have been around, and they haven't been any cooler, so why are they in demand now? And it's all this speculation based. Even those that have little to no chance of being in a movie or a TV show, the price is coming. Like, Null's not going to show up in a movie. Like, I'm sorry, he's a cool character, but he's probably a little bit too out there for the Venom Spider-Man movies. You know, you can say, like, well, they did Thanos and Infinity Gauntlets, and yeah, I get it, but that is a larger sort of Avengers universe where I think they could get away with a lot more, and Venom is still this Fox-owned property, or I'm sorry, a Sony-owned property. And it seems like that Venom, like the Venom movie that came out, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as willing to embrace the true craziness of a comics universe. And Null is pretty out there, the god of these symbiotes, which we haven't even got, and the movie hasn't even scratched the surface of the symbiotes being an alien race of, whatever. So, So why is that book heating up? And it's just because speculators are saying that this book is going to be valuable. It's sitting there at a low value, a while ago, and speculators say, "Oh, this is the first appearance of Null. This run is great," which is true. This book is going to be worth a lot. But what's going to make it worth a lot? Well, the supply is there. It's demand. So where did the demand came from? The demand came from the speculators say it's going to be worth a lot. So once all the speculators got around and said this is going to be worth a lot, people wanted it because the speculators said it. It was self-fulfilling. If no one came out and said or prophesized that Venom #3 was going to be worth a lot, it would probably be, at this point, I don't know, $20 book maybe would be my guess, because like Venom 1 is still like $10-15. So Venom 3 might it is still a first appearance. I get it. So maybe $20-30 book would be my guess of what that thing actually should cost. But because now we have all these people that are trying to get in on the market and make money off of it, they're listening to speculators. Speculators could say anything that they wanted. As long as enough of them said, this book is going to be worth money, that book will then be worth money. Not for any actual logical reason, but only because the speculator said so. Therefore, people went out and bought it because speculators say it's going to be worth a lot. And because people are buying it, through the process of buying it, that demand is increased, so people start charging more. The price starts creeping up, till eventually you have a book that should be worth $20 to $30 worth almost $200. So, and another example, I don't have this book. It's a book that I have wanted. You look at something like Fantastic Four number 6, the first appearance of Annihilus, or Strange Tales number 158, the first Living Tribunal. Actually, let's look at that. Strange Tales 158, the first appearance of Living Tribunal. So first of all, Living Tribunal, that's a deep cut in comics. That's a pretty deep cut. You have to be pretty intimate with the cosmic universe to know anything about the Living Tribunal. Casual Marvel moviegoers for sure don't know who that is. But he's going to be in the third Guardians of the Galaxy, or supposedly he's going to be in the third Guardians of the Galaxy. So what does that mean? Well, speculation on his first appearance, Strange Tales number 158, goes out, drives price up. People are like, well, I got to get on that. I got to get on it. It's going to be worth more. But why do people think it's going to be worth more? Because he's in the movie? And maybe that would cause a little bit of increase. But there's so many people out there that are now speculating. They're fighting with each other to get copies of this. And that's what's actually causing the price to go up. The movie hasn't hit yet, right? And the value has increased drastically, right? So I looked it up. So in May of this year, that book was going for around $85 in a graded 5.5. A graded 5.5 was going for about $85. This month, so 3 months later, 4 months later, however many months later, a graded 5.5 went for $140. So it almost doubled in that amount of time. Doubled. Investments aren't supposed to double that fast. So why did it double so fast? It's because the rumor got out, and the movie's not out yet. He hasn't been on screen. And his first appearance has doubled. So that's not the fact that he's been in a movie causing it to go up. It's that it was speculated that it will go up. And then all the speculators are fighting each other to get copies because it might go up. And they're trying to get the book. Right? So if you look at something like eBay, right, when you see that something sold for $150, that doesn't mean that one person wanted it at $150. That means at least two people wanted it at $150, right? Someone's high bid was $149, which for all intents and purposes is $150. Someone else put something above $150 or above, right? So it took two people for it to climb that way, that high. At least two people. So that's what happens when these speculators are trying to get stuff. They keep pushing it. Like, oh, this book is only worth, Strange Tales, $85, but I think it's going to go up, so I'm willing to pay a little bit more. I'm willing to pay $90. And there's two people that think like that, so it sells for $90. Well, now the book's worth $90, because that's what somebody paid for it. The next person, another one comes up. Well, this book's worth $90, but I'm willing to pay $95 because I think it's still going to go. Because it's speculated that it's going to go up. The movie hasn't come yet out, so it's going to be higher than what it is now. So I'm willing to bid $95. Two people think that, so now it sells for $95. So on and so forth until it's worth double the cost. Investments aren't supposed to double that fast. It is not healthy. It is not healthy that is the case. So the question is, and this has been going on for a few years, but it's really come. I feel it's really coming to a head now. So the main question is this model, is what is happening sustainable? Can the market keep going on like this, where the value books just keep going up, very, very quickly, and not just like at the pace, but at the drop of a hat? A book can 1 second be nothing, and then be the hottest thing because it was speculated, that it might be hot, which in turn actually makes it hot. So again, the speculation itself is actually creating and driving the market. So as these prices are driven up because of speculation, collectors like me, where we collect the comics just because of the love of the characters in the medium, we are eventually going to be pushed out because of those rising prices. Because I want a Fantastic Four #6, a first appearance of Annihilus? Yes, I do. I've wanted it for a long time. There's a lot of characters I want first appearances of. There's a laundry list, right? But I can't get them all immediately. You have to wait till you find a copy that's in the condition you want for a good price, and that just had never crossed my path yet. Do I want it now? I mean, do I want the book? Yes. Not for what it costs, because it's ridiculous what it costs. It's not worth it. And I mean, I'll get into that, and I'll go into more detail in a little bit. If you notice, I am kind of reading something. I had a lot of thoughts I had to get out, and I had to start jotting them down because there were so many, and I'm going to forget what I'm talking about or what I wanted to talk about. So suffice it to say, the prices keep going up like this. It's going to push the actual collectors out. Investors are more willing to put money in because they're expecting to get money out. Collectors who are buying just to put money in and keep them because they love them don't have that in their mind, like, well, I can get out of it because I'm going to sell it. I'm going to make that money back and then some. That's not me. If I buy a Fantastic Four #6, I'm not buying it to sell it and make more money. I'm buying it to go stick it in my safe. And take it out and enjoy it occasionally, but I'm not. There's no turnaround on it. So eventually, all the collectors are going to get pushed out of the market because it becomes too much. And at that point, who's buying? Right? The books are just swapping between speculators. Right? They're just like, I think it's going to be worth a lot, so I'm going to buy it from this speculator. Now that speculator has it. And then another speculator is like, oh, yeah. I'll give you more for it than what you paid because it's going to be worth a lot. Yeah. And they're just going to be going around speculators. And once the speculators truly own the market, then it's only going to go up because it's just an endless cycle of them paying each other more money for the same thing. Right? It's just that, like, I sell this to my neighbor, then I buy it back from him, and then I sell to him again, I buy it back from him, and so on, and more and more and more and more. I mean, as long as that keeps going on, suppose we're fairly balanced. We average out in the long run, but at some point, I'm gonna have to pay more money than what I can survive, like, giving out. All right, sorry. Had an alarm go off. I had to take care of something. All right, where was I? Comic collectors pushed out. Okay, so all that's in there is that speculators just kind of selling to each other. But then if the collectors are out, now the demand goes down because the collectors aren't trying to get it as well. And so then the price starts to go down, right? Because it's supply and demand. What drives the price up is low supply and or high demand. Or one or the other, a combination of both. So if demand goes down, value goes down. Well, now, if the value is going down, it's no longer a hot spec book, right? Because less people are picking it up. So now speculators are trying to get out of it. They're trying to sell it, but they can't sell it as easily since they've actually pushed out those that might actually want it. And other speculators don't want it because they see it's on the way down. So now supply is actually up because there's more out there. Speculators are trying to get out of it. No one wants to buy it. So it's the opposite, right? Now the value goes down even further. So what we're seeing here, so that's obviously a problem. That's sort of the high level picture. But why is this happening? Where is it coming from? The idea of these speculators that are buying as an investment are not actually buying things like investors. They're not making smart decisions. They're overpaying, or they're paying what they think it will be worth, and that's not how you invest. That's a bad investment practice. I don't. If something is worth $50 and I think it's going to be worth $100, I shouldn't pay $100. I should pay what it's worth today, not what I think it's going to be. Right? Because you don't know it's going to be that. Now, in this case, because there are so many speculators out there and so many people doing this, overpaying for things, they're getting lucky, and the price is going up to that point. But again, that's not sustainable forever. It's going to reach a critical mass. It will eventually reach that ceiling, and it won't reach what the current speculated value is, whatever that is. After, because the current speculated value is here, and then it gets here, and it's still up, so then the speculated value is here. But eventually, it's going to get to a point where it can't reach that. And I saw this happening in real time a couple days ago. I was watching an auction live on YouTube, and people were vastly overpaying what things were worth as dictated by the current market. I didn't understand. People would. So the way that these YouTube auctions work is you don't necessarily know what's going to be auctioned that night. Sometimes they'll give previews of some stuff, but generally it's like, all right, this is what's up for auction now, and you had no idea what's coming up. That's bad for bidders, because you want to be able to research something before you start saying how much you are willing to pay for it. And a lot of times they'll also do these buy it now things, right? Where they'll flash something up, you don't know it's coming. Like, oh, this is buy it now for this is much money. And the first person who says, I want it, gets it. So that leads to knee-jerk reactions of, yeah, I'll buy it. I want that thing. I assume that the price they put on it is reasonable. Do your research. Do your research. But because it's first come, first serve, you don't have time to do research. I've lost out on some of those buy it nows because I see it like, all right, I'm not just going to pull the trigger. I'm going to make sure that's a good value. That's a good deal. At the very least, I'm only paying what it's worth now and not at some inflated value. And while I'm doing that research, someone else claimed it because other people aren't doing the research. They're just knee-jerk reaction buying it. And the same thing is happening with the actual auctions, right? I know they're not doing the research because there was literally no time for them to have done their research. They're just throwing out numbers. They're just throwing out numbers for bids. I bid on a couple things during that auction, and I very quickly got out like, whoop, this is no point in staying in this because this is going to crazy town. And while that's going on, while people are bidding their minds away, I'm going and looking up, like, going to my sources, sold eBay listings, Go Collect, things like that, and seeing like what is the actual value of this thing right now. And they ended up paying more than it's worth. Why would you do that? Why would you pay more than something is worth? They're not doing the research, or they know that they're overpaying it, but they think it's going to be worth at least what they overpaid for, so they're going to be okay. But again, everyone else is doing the same thing, so the price goes up, 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 up. So what is it that's actually going to push collectors out of the market? So this concept of intrinsic value, right? The value of the thing for what it is. Like, speculation and market aside, this is what a collector or collectors find to be a reasonable amount to spend on a book, or what a reasonable amount is. Like I said, Venom #3, I think a reasonable amount for this book is $30. That's what I think is reasonable. I would not pay more than that for this book as a collector. If I'm going to buy it because I love that book, that character, and I'm not flipping it, I'm going to put it in my safe. I'm going to take it out and enjoy it when I want to, reminisce about it, whatever. If that was what I was buying that book for, that's the most I would pay for it, because that's what I think that book is worth. Intrinsically, that is a fair value for that book. So, what dictates the intrinsic value? And some of it is subjective, right? But it comes to rarity, obviously. As you get to like older books, that's why older books are intrinsically worth more, because they're harder to find, especially in good condition. The importance of the character that's in it, the first appearance or the event that happens, or what the key reason. So either to the importance to comics in general, or to their personal connection. That's where it gets sort of subjective, right? So these rising prices due to speculation is causing the cost of books to get way out of intrinsic value range, right? So that Fantastic Four Annual 6, do I want it? Yeah. Do I want that Strange Tales 158? Do I want the First Living Tribunal? Yeah, I do. I want the book, but the cost of it is way past the intrinsic value of it, so I'm not going to buy it. Speculators can keep driving up all they want and sell it to each other. That's fine. Have fun. I'm not interested in jumping in that game. It's Fantastic Four Annual 6 is not, Annihilus is not a $500 character. Living Tribunal is not a $150 character. Null is not a $180 character. So I'm pushed out. I'm pushed out of that market. Demand has gone down by one. But I'm sure there are others like me, or others that are going to be like me. So essentially, things are costing way more than what they're actually worth. So when this happens, this pattern, no matter what the commodity is, leads to a bottoming out. And as I said before, I've always said, even if you aren't into comics as an investment, you need to treat it as such. Keep them in the best financial state, because whether that's the reason you get them or not, it is an investment, even if you don't plan on selling it. But again, you don't know when you're going to have to get out of it, right? An accident happens, you lose your job. That paper is probably the first thing to go. But just because you should view it or treat it as an investment, it doesn't mean that people purchase them as an investment, right? I'm not purchasing my comics with the purpose of an investment, even though I treat it as an investment. It's insured. I keep it in a safe. All that stuff. I treat it as an investment because just by its nature, it has value, and the value does go up. But that's not why I do it. So I base what I'm willing to pay for something based upon that intrinsic value. If the intrinsic value isn't worth the going cost, and collectors will wisely walk away. So what does bottoming out look like? So right now everything's going up, and prices aren't going down. Prices don't go down until they do. There's no fluctuation we're seeing like there is with a normal commodity. It's only up, right? So if you follow something in a stock in a stock market, you see this, right? It might have an overall trend upwards or an overall trend downwards, but it's spikes and valleys. That is a normal, balanced life cycle of a commodity. That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing up. And I've talked about this book multiple times because it's a fascinating thing to me, and it's one of my favorite characters. But Werewolf by Night number 32, first appearance of Moon Knight, that thing keeps going up because it keeps getting specced on and re-specced on. Right? It was speculated that this Moon Knight character kind of fits in this whole daredevil street level hero sort of thing. It's possible that there might be a show about that. It seems one could speculate that a show featuring this character could be possible. So the price went up. And it didn't happen. We still don't have a Moon Knight show. But the price didn't go back down. It stayed up. Because speculators are keeping it up. But then the same rumor train comes around again. Moon Knight show. And then rumors, or it gets actual optioned or whatever. But each time it goes back up. That's not what should happen. That's not what happens in a normal market, right? Sure, if it's rumored, and I would say it would need to be a substantial rumor, a substantiated rumor, Moon Knight's going to get a TV show. Goes up because that's real. If it gets announced, or there's like some source, some reliable source that says it might happen, it goes up. Got it. If it turns out that rumor is false, the reason that the price is up here is because of something that is not true. It should go back down to where it was. That's how, again, a normal commodity should work. That's not what's happening. Rumor happens. It's proven false. Nope, stays up here. Rumor mill comes around again. Oh, it just goes up again. Like, you don't get that. You don't get a double dip. Right? You are here because of rumor of TV show. If the same rumor comes out, you're already there. You're at rumor of TV show level. That's not what's happening. And again, that's not sustainable for that type of commodity. So again, looking at stocks, do stocks go up infinitely? Like the trend of comics is? No, stocks do not go up infinitely. Now you can say something like, well, there's big stocks like your Apples and your Berkshire Hathaways. They're always going up. They're always trending up. Yes, they are always trending up, but the value isn't approaching infinity. Why is that? Because when stocks reach a certain value, and it depends upon the stock and the market and all that, a stock splits, right? That's why, like Berkshire Hathaway A stock is worth like $300,000 a share. It's huge. It's a lot. It's a lot of money. But if it never split, I don't even know where that would be. It would be the millions of dollars. But once it gets to a certain level, they decide to split it, right? It's it could be one for two split, one for three split, whatever. It splits. The value that the investor that's already invested in it doesn't lose any money. They're the same, right? If I have a stock that's worth $100 and it splits one for two, I now have two stocks worth $50, right? I still have $100 worth of stock. The idea is, the purpose is to bring the price back down without actually losing overall value, which makes it easier for people to get into the stock. I'll let you speculators on, and a little hint here. Comics don't split. Comics don't split. Nothing can go up infinitely. Nothing can go up infinitely. Because it would ruin the market. So the way that stocks can balance that is by splitting. One of the ways that stocks can balance that is by splitting. Also, stocks have the market in general also has the benefit of having a number of parachutes. Being regulated, for better or worse, bailout things sort of happen. So to prevent like another depression, checks and balances and things are put in place for that. Comics don't have that. Be careful. Comics aren't really a good investment for making money. But people are treating it like it is, but they're also not thinking like actual investors. And that's bad. So comics don't split. They will eventually reach a critical mass. And all of the, right, it should have been going down at times to keep it sort of balanced. But it's going up, 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 up. So eventually it will reach that critical mass, and all the downs it should have had and came back up, but all the downs it should have had are gonna come at once. It's gonna go up, 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 up. The spikes are usually about as big as the valley. Or sorry, the valleys are usually about as big as the spikes. So if the spike is like, I'm riding this spike, eventually that valley is going to be just as severe. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to hit all at once, and it'll hit hard. So because of all of this, I'm pulling back. I'm pulling back from this key issue collection stuff. And if you know me either just through this channel or you know me personally, if I'm pulling back from buying comics, if I'm doing that, that means something. Because comics are like my life. I love them. I love to have them and collect them. I love to pull them out of the safe and just enjoy them. I love them so much. But I can't reasonably stay in this market. For the past 10 years or so, nearly all of my disposable income goes towards comics, and because of my love for them. Now, there are still things that I'm going to buy, things that I really want that aren't really affected by all this that's going on, at least yet. I still need to finish that Amazing Spider-Man run. I really need to get that knocked out. And some of those things aren't really super at risk. But the fringe stuff that I normally buy, again, your Living Tribunals, your MODOKs, I'm pushed out. I want those books. I want to have them in my collection. But because of all the speculation, because the price is going way, way higher than what they are intrinsically worth, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in pursuing those in this market. So I am, again, demand is going down. I am out of the market. I'm just, could I buy them? Yes. Well, my disposable income is healthy enough, but I'm not going to throw cash away. I'm not going to buy something just to have it. I'm not going to pay more than what it's worth. So what I've been doing and what I plan to do more in the future is buying runs of things. Like I still want to buy comics. I still love comics. So I'm focusing less on buying these key issues of characters because they're way overpriced. So I'm buying runs of things. You know, you see me buy runs of things, and I have some ideas of some runs that I want to chase. Some I think are going to be really fun to read and collect runs, and they're not necessarily cheap runs. You know, maybe some Silver Age stuff. That stuff's not cheap, but it's not being super affected by this because it's like not super key issues or even low key issues. But I'm finding that I'm getting more bang for my buck there. I'm getting more comic enjoyment for the money I spend in buying those runs and reading those and getting those full runs. And you know, the value of those things aren't really going to go up. You know, like when I'm considering maybe putting together a run of Submariner. I've been really enjoying Namor and reading a bunch of Submariner stuff, and there's not really any big valuable issues in there, maybe one or two, but I would enjoy having a full run of that. Maybe that's where I put my money now. And it's not super affected by this. And the value of those things, because they're just sort of all just like, it's just a regular issue of Submariner. It's not going to go up in value. It's not an investment. It's just something I want and would enjoy. Something else that I wanted to again, back with the auctions, and I saw it happen in real time. There was something I was bidding on yesterday, and I put a maximum bid in. I'm not going to say what it was or whatever, but it's something that I've been wanting to get for a little while, and it's actually not a real big key issue or anything like that. But I put a bid in on it of $115 was just so you're going to have some perspective. I'll give that number, $115, and I thought that was pushing it, right? That was a little bit of a little bit of frustration of trying to get this issue over and over again and being just get it over with, just whatever. And I understand that makes me a little bit part of the problem, but and so I put a max bid of $115, and was it worth $115? Again, yes. I think the value of it was there. It's more than what I wanted to actually pay for it, but I think that value was there. So I didn't think if I got it for that, I would be overpaying for it. I lost it, and it ended up going for like $155. $155. Like when I'm thinking like $115 is pushing it as the value that it is worth $115. At least two people, again, it takes at least two people came in swinging of $155. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you, it is not difficult to go to eBay sold auctions and see what these things are actually. The last one that was sold went for about that $115 at that, condition and stuff, went for about that $115. Why would you come in swinging at $155? Why would you do that? Why would two people do that? Because you know what? The person that lost, the person that one of at least one of the people, because it could be more, but at least one of the people that caused it to go up that, they have hurt themselves. Because they still don't have that book, which means, and they bid that much, that means they want that book. So the next time that book goes up for auction, they are no longer competing with this, well, the last one sold for $115. The mindset bidders are coming in with that. He's competing, he or she, they are competing with the mindset of other bidders that the last one went for $155. They have hurt themselves. Don't do that. If you're going to be an idiot and vastly overbid for something, someone else very likely is that same type of idiot. And now it's proven, or the consequences of being an idiot have now come to fruition, because now that book is going to cost you a lot more. And a lot more for everyone else as well. I mean, great for the seller. Great for the seller. My hope is that the seller was like, they weren't just like this flipper and trying to milk the market. But good for them. Congrats. But, whenever I sell something, if I get what it's worth out of it, I'm happy. Any more than that is greedy, right? So if that seller got the $115, if I was that seller, I would be happy with that. But it's this seller's market sort of thing. It's not a buyer's market, but people are buying like it is a buyer's market, or because they are just sellers, and it doesn't make any sense. And to be honest, when I say that this is unsustainable and it's going to cause the market to bottom out, I hope I'm right. I honestly do. I hope I'm right. I hope the market bottoms out, right? Because once that happens, all these freaking speculators will get out and say, oh, this is no longer a good source of money. They'll get out. Their nonsense that is ruining the market will leave, and it could come back to a normal place again. Come back to a normal place. Is it going to make, if that happens, is the value of the stuff that I have going to go down? Yeah. But you know what? I'm willing to pay that price. I'm willing to pay that price because I want comics to be affordable again. I want, I want that market to balance out, and I want things back to the way they were. So, if it's between this inflated nonsense, and prices and value, and between this inflated nonsense and the prices plummeting, I'm for the latter. Just so I can have my hobby back. Just so I can not be frustrated with it and get the enjoyment I used to out of it. But this $180, ludicrous. If you have it, awesome. I'm happy for you. But if you're out there and you're just don't be part of the problem. Don't be part of the problem. And I understand. Like if it's hard. If there's money to be made somewhere, it's hard to let an opportunity go. Right? I get it. But know that there are consequences to that. And it is a market. And it has to follow rules and trends. And eventually the other side of the coin is going to surface. So just, I don't know. I've been going on for a long time now. That's really it. I'm probably like, I don't know. I feel like I'm the scientist in the sci-fi movie or the disaster movie. It's like, oh, I happened to stumble upon these readings and we're doomed. And everyone's like, that's crazy old Patrick. He doesn't know anything. He's talking about everything's fine. Everything's perfect. It's going to be awesome forever. And I'm just like, everybody thinks I'm crazy. But what if? What if I'm right? Be careful. Be careful. Again, I understand. If there is some quick and easy money to be made, it's hard not to do it, but it can't last forever. And doing that is only making its own demise closer. And I'm afraid it's going to hit hard. again, I don't want it to hit too hard. I don't want it to completely destroy the comic market. I just want it to be bad enough that gets the speculators out and brings balance back. But that's it. And please let me know what you think in the comments. This is obviously something I'm very passionate about. I'd love to talk about it more if you have thoughts or concerns, or are these things that you've thought of or seen, or if they aren't things that you've thought of or seen, or tell me I'm the crazy person that is seeing problems where there are none. I'd love to talk about it. But anyway, that's it. Kind of a different sort of downer video, I guess. But it's just, I had to get off my chest. I've been thinking about it too much. I needed to put it out there into the world, for better or worse. But anyway, that's it. Have a good one. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.